Hello Bellezas, welcome back to a new video. As you guys can tell by the title, today I am going to be talking to you guys about some of the haunted locations that I found that are in Mexico. So I hope that you guys are excited for that. And if you are new here, hi, my name is Brenda. I go by Beyond Belleza. If you would like to join my little community of Bellezas, all you have to do is subscribe down below and turn on your post notifications so you do not miss when I post a new video. Also, do give this video a huge thumbs up if you end up enjoying it whatsoever, because it really does help out my channel in various different ways. Now with that being said, you guys, let's go ahead and jump right into today's video. Okay, so the first location that I'm going to be talking to you guys about is located in La Ciudad de Mexico in a very well-known Colonia Roma, which is like a main street in La Ciudad de Mexico, and this is La Casa Negra, which was a building that was constructed in the 20th century, and it used to be a hospital where they had a lot of sick patients that were specifically being treated for typhoid fever, I think is what it's called, or how you say it. I read it in Spanish, but it translated over to typhoid fever. And so this hospital was specifically for patients with that illness. So the legend says that or the story, because I'm not really sure if it was a legend because it actually did burn down. So it said that in 1935, somebody, allegedly the neighbors, for whatever reason, there was nothing really specific on this, but they ended up burning down the building. Maybe some sort of vendetta for having a hospital full of sick people right in their neighborhood or something. Maybe that's not something that they were too happy about and they wanted to get rid of it. For whatever reason, they ended up burning this entire building down with all of the patients in it. And it is said that when it was burning down, people inside were obviously being burned alive, and they were screaming and yelling for help and trying to escape the building. But everybody who was in it on that night sadly did pass away, and there was no survivors, basically, is what I got from it. And so after this did burn down, it says that the owner of this building ended up deciding to turn it into a home, and then not too long after that, a family of 5 ended up moving into it. And it is said that under mysterious circumstances, the whole family ended up dead, and somebody, called the police because they hadn't been out in a long time. They were just doing like a welfare check, so they were trying to make sure that they were okay. So the police came and they found them all deceased. So it's said that the police never found out what happened. They don't know how they ended up dying. It was under very mysterious circumstances that they did pass away. And after this happened and the house was no longer inhabited by anyone, it is said that it was abandoned for a really long time, and every once in a while when they do try to sell it to somebody, it is said that the people who end up living in it don't last for very long. Not that they die, but that they end up leaving after a short amount of time, and they never stick around for very long in that neighborhood. So because of the tragic events that did unfold on that night, for whatever reason somebody cruel decided to burn down the hospital. It's said that after 10 p.m. at night, you can hear people screaming inside of the building, and that people see entities walking around the building. People who have been brave enough to go explore inside of this house have experienced different paranormal activity, including people touching them and cold spots and all of that, basic stuff that come when it comes to paranormal activity. So I just thought that was really interesting. And of course, anytime that there is a tragic event in a location, I feel like it is very possible for it to be haunted or some kind of attachment to still be in that building, especially when it's so sudden that people pass away. Like maybe some of them were sleeping and they never even knew that they died because it was so instant and immediate. I'm guessing this whole place was engulfed in a matter of minutes. But yeah, that is the first location. I found that very spooky and very sad, of course, because there was no need for that to happen at all, but for whatever reason that it was, it did. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the second location that I have for you guys. Okay, so the next place is La Casa de los Tubos, which is in Monterrey, Mexico, specifically like in the Nuevo León area, I think. And this house has been around for a long time as well, and it was originally said that it was constructed by a father who had a daughter in a wheelchair, which is why it has such an interesting shape to it, because it is made completely for a ramp for a wheelchair to go up. It was a very unique way to accommodate to having a wheelchair. And so it is said that when this house was being constructed, there was a few of the construction workers that ended up falling from the very top of it for whatever reason. They might have slipped, something must have happened, but it said that those who witnessed them fall off of the building said that the last words from these men were, "They don't want us to be here," or "He doesn't want us to be here." That was what came out of their mouth before they fell to their deaths. And it said that there was like a few of them that died under this same cause, that they ended up just falling from the very top of this house, because it is a huge building. Like, it's pretty tall, and there's just, it's La Casa de Tubos literally translates to the house of tubes, and so it's just like a round little slippery slide sort of thing. And so the other thing that is attached to this house is that when it was finally done being constructed, the father went to go show his daughter the house, and they went to go see it together. They went all the way to the top in her she was in her wheelchair, and instead once they reached the top, she somehow slipped. I don't really know how, like I don't know if she slipped like down the ramp or off of the ramp. So if she was in her wheelchair, I feel like it would be very hard for her to slip like from the top of the roof or anything like that. So however it happened, she ended up slipping and dying ultimately, like right as soon as they finished making this house that was specifically made for her needs. And it's so sad and so tragic. And the dad, of course, he was so heartbroken that he couldn't live with the fact that he did live in the house for a little bit on his own, but he just couldn't take it, because obviously this whole house is going to remind him of his daughter, because his daughter was supposed to be living in this house with him, and this was made for her. So since he was so heartbroken, he unfortunately decided to commit suicide, and that is basically how it ended. The house ended up being abandoned and nobody lived in it for a long time. And it said in the article that it was refurbished or remodeled, but from the pictures and videos that I've seen, it still kind of looks like it's been abandoned for a long time, and that nobody's touched it, and it just looks very intact, and the tubes are still there, or the ramp, whatever you want to call it, and it still looks exactly the same. So okay guys, quick interruption. I actually did find pictures of what it looks like remodeled, but I actually had to Google those exact words, and I also had to go on the Facebook page of the actual company who remodeled it, and the pictures look beautiful. It looks so modern, and I actually would not mind living here. Everything is so beautiful. They put a lot of love into it, and I think they even won an award. But yeah, it looks amazing now. Not really sure what kind of refurbishment they did on it, but yeah, that is the other location that is supposed to be haunted, especially from all the tragedies. As I already said, when there is tragedy in a location, there is most likely some kind of paranormal activity, if you do believe in that kind of stuff. I do, so that's just my opinion. So that is that one. I really like that one, even though it was really sad. I'm just like, it is such an interesting, unique building that just by looking at it, even if none of that happened, it just looks scary. I can't imagine anybody actually living in it. Like, it's kind of morbid looking, kind of eerie. I'm like, I don't think I would want to live in it, to be honest. Even when it was just built and it was like nice, I'd still be like, yeah, this place gives me the creeps. I wouldn't want to live there. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on to the third location. And this third location is called La Casa de las Brujas. And when I was researching this, I did come across a second one that's called La Casa de las Brujas. So there's two different ones. This one is the one in Guanajuato, Mexico, and it is a beautiful building. Like, just the way that it's so colorful, and they have so many like little details to it, and the stairway up to the house, which you guys will be seeing while I'm talking about this. And it's got such a unique style too. I don't know who has been taking care of this house and making it look the way that it does now, but it is an art piece, basically. That's as best as I can describe it, or how I can call it. It is an art piece. It is a piece of history that has been maintained very, very well, and props to whoever is designing it and putting it all together and making it look nice every day, because it looks beautiful. All of the detailing and everything in that house is so beautiful. But the story behind that house is a very sad one, and it is another tragic event which, you know, led people to believe that it is haunted to this day. And I will show you guys some pictures of what it looked like back when it was built in the 1800s. It's still the very same bones of the house, but it is now just revamped and it looks amazing. As I said, I can't stop talking about it because when I saw this house, I was like, I want to go see that house. It's so beautiful. But anyway, so the story behind this is that there was a father who had a daughter, and he ended up going to prison for some reason that I didn't really look into, but he left his daughter in the care of two of her aunts. So I guess it's his sisters or his wife's sisters. I don't know where the mom is in this. It didn't say in this specific story, because it is just basically focused on the events that happened in the house. So he ended up leaving his daughter with two of her aunts, and they were supposed to take care of her. And you know, when you leave your kids in the hands of somebody that's like family, you expect them to take care of them, and you don't ever think that they're not capable of it. Obviously, you want to think the best of them. So it is said that in this house, the two aunts were very abusive and careless for his daughter, and he had no idea because he was in prison, obviously. And it's said that one day they threw her down in the basement and they left her there 4 days, and they starved her. They didn't give her any water. They basically forgot that she was even in their home anymore. They threw her down there, and she was in there for who knows how long before she finally passed away from those circumstances. And I don't really know what happened with the aunts. It just said that years later they found her body, so I'm guessing the aunts got away with it, and the dad was in jail. He probably didn't even question it or even try to see his daughter, I guess, because they didn't find her body until years after the house was sold to somebody else. Like, they ended up finding her remains in that home, and I'm guessing they probably buried her somewhere, and they did some investigating on who she was and what had happened there. And I don't know the reason behind the name specifically, like La Casa de las Brujas. Maybe it's like an insult to the aunts, like calling them witches for just being evil and doing that to this little innocent girl who they were supposed to be taking care of. And yeah, so the people who are in that area have reported seeing a figure looking out the window, and it looks like it appears to be a little girl or a girl in general. And this has been reported by various different people who have been around the area, have taken pictures of the house and so on and so forth, and they've said that they have seen the entity of some little girl or something, even though nobody lives in it, but people all the time go outside of the house to look at it. And that is the number one thing that people have said, is that they see that little girl appear in one of the windows somewhere on the house, and you know, they try to get a picture of it or try to take pictures of the house to see if they capture anything. And that's the most paranormal investigating that has been able to occur in this house. But yeah, another very sad one, and hopefully that after they found her body and they gave her a proper burial, that she isn't actually in this house, and that whatever reports that people are saying are not true. Because I think just depending on whether she ended up being a restless soul or not, or if she ended up finding peace after getting a proper burial, who knows, honestly. This might have happened before they even found her body, that they would see the apparition of a little girl in the window before they gave her a proper burial and all of that. But that is the third one and the final one that I have for you guys. I really enjoyed looking into these houses and just looking at all of the pictures of them, because these were very interesting looking houses, very creepy looking houses, and I just thought that I would share that with you guys, and maybe that you guys would enjoy listening to this type of content. So please let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about me covering different haunted locations. I would really appreciate your feedback. Now, before I do end the video, today's comment shout out goes to this person right here. Thank you so much for leaving a nice comment, and as always, if you want to be the next comment shout out, all you have to do is leave me a nice comment down below, and that is it. Now, with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and I love you all so much. Don't forget to stay safe and be kind. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye bye.
Por ti mi corazón palpita, siempre he sido tu chiquita. ¿Cuántos te amos van ahorita? Yo ya perdí la cuenta. Quiero decirte que te amo.